Welcome to this tutorial on building automations with UiPath Studio. This should give you a good idea if it's your first encounter with Studio or if you've already seen the Studio X automation video. If you don't have any experience in software development, we'd recommend starting with the Studio X video and come back to this one afterwards, as some of the concepts are covered in detail there. We will develop a workflow that searches for the current time in Bucharest on Google, grabs the time and displays it in a message box. To do this, we'll create a new process and start by using one of the coolest features of Studio, the recorder. Then we'll add other activities, configure the existing ones and use some variables, which, as you probably know, are not available in Studio X. We encourage you to repeat the entire process on your machine. Let's start by creating a new process in Studio. We'll enter Get Time in Bucharest in the name input field, and then we'll add a description that makes the project easy to identify later. When creating a new blank process, you can choose the location to save it and the programming language, VB.NET or C#. Let's click Create. Welcome to your first project. Let's take a few moments to get used to the interface. On your left-hand side, you'll see the Activities panel. You can search for activities here and drop them in the Designer panel, located in the middle of the screen. Each activity corresponds to an action that is usually performed by a human user, like click or type into, or to the control flow logic of the project, like an if statement or a for each loop. The Designer panel is where you can create and modify the flow of your project. The Design menu is at the top of the screen. Here, you can add sequences, flowcharts, and state machines to your project. Install and manage activities packages, build interactions with UI elements, export workflows to Excel, and then publish your work to Orchestrator or custom feeds. We'll start by using the recorder to capture our actions on the screen. This tool offers 5 recording types, designed to accommodate different environments like desktop, web, and virtual desktops. Keep in mind that this tool will let you define a simple flow quickly, but the activities will always need editing. You can learn more about the recorder in the recorder lesson in the Toolkit Learning Path. Since we're building a workflow on a browser, let's select the web recording type. The recorder toolbar is displayed. It gives you access to actions particular to each environment. Here, you can open a browser, interact with UI elements, get text or images, or start recording and capture your own actions. Let's make our workflow start with opening a browser and navigating to Google. To do that, we'll click the Open Browser button and select Already Open Internet Explorer. Click OK to set the start URL to the current address. Now, let's record searching for the current time in Bucharest. Let's click Record. We'll select the search field and enter the search string. Let's select the Empty Field checkbox. This handy setting makes sure that everything is deleted inside the target field before entering the string. Next, we'll click the Google Search button. We get a notification about the reliability of Selector, but it's stable enough for our example. We can see that the current time is displayed. Great! Now we need to get this value. Let's press Escape to return to the Recorder toolbar. We'll click Copy Text and select the current time. OK, we're done here. Let's click Save and Exit to return to Studio. Our recording session has generated a sequence of activities in the Designer panel. This is one of the ways activities can be laid out in Studio. Let's have a look. We have an open browser activity that launches Internet Explorer and navigates to Google. This activity holds the rest of our workflow in its Do container. This means that all the activities within it will use the browser as a target application. Within the container, we have 3 activities. A type into activity that enters the string in the search field. B. A click activity that clicks the Google search button. C. A get text activity that grabs the result of the search and saves it to a variable. You'll learn more about entering input and getting output from interfaces in other courses. It's a good case practice to always give descriptive names to our activities and add annotations. As your workflows will become more and more complex, this good habit will save you and your colleagues many hours. Great! We've mentioned earlier that workflows created with the recorder require quite a bit of editing. Let's click the Get Text activity. To the right-hand side, you'll find the Properties panel. This is a contextual panel that enables you to view and change the properties of a selected activity. Notice that the output property is set to div. This means that the grabbed text is stored in a variable called div. Let's give the variable a more descriptive name. To do this, let's open the Variables panel. This panel enables you to create variables and make changes to them. Let's rename it Time in Bucharest. Renaming a variable in this panel automatically updates all occurrences in the current file. If you're wondering, how does the robot know what text to grab? The answer lies in one of the most powerful features that UiPath uses: selectors. Selectors act like addresses for UI elements. Let's view the selector for the Get Text activity. It looks like we have a problem here. The AA name attribute is set to 21:22. This means that the robot will only identify the text it needs if it is precisely 21:22. We need to make this selector a bit more generic so that the robot will be able to get any time, but specific enough so that it doesn't grab anything else. Selectors obtained with the recorder will often need to be fine-tuned. We'll use wildcards and question marks for this. It's validated. Great, we can move on. Next, we want to display the message "the current time in Bucharest is:" along with the grabbed text. Let's use a write-line activity to print the string in the Output panel and drop it in the Designer panel. OK. To display the string and the value of the time in Bucharest variable, we'll use string concatenation. Let's write the string between brackets, type in plus, and add the name of our variable. Also, let's not forget to rename the activity. Last but not least, we'll add a Close Application activity. It's a good case practice to close our applications at the end of our workflows. As we've placed this activity inside the do container of the Open Browser activity, by default it will close the correct browser. But we want to demonstrate how you can indicate an element for an activity. Simply click Indicate Element on screen and click the application, and that's it. OK, we're done with our workflow. Let's press Run and test it. So far so good. Let's open the Output panel. This is where the output of the log message or write-line activities is displayed, along with exceptions for packages and other important messages. Great, it worked! Before we conclude this demo, there's one more important thing that we want to note about working with activities in UiPath Studio. If you don't find the activities that you're looking for, you can search for packages in the feeds included in the Package Manager. Let's say that we need a set of activities to help us automate processes that use the Google Suite. Let's open the Package Manager. On the left-hand side, you'll find a list of feeds. For example, the official online UiPath feed, where you can find the activity packages that are officially supported by UiPath. The Go public feed contains all of the activities published on the UiPath Go marketplace by our ever-growing community of partners, freelancers, and UiPath RPA developers. Please note that in the Package Information tab, It is specifically stated if the packages are built and officially supported by UiPath. In the center, you can see the list of available packages. Let's search for the G Suite package. And here it is. Let's click Install, then Save, and we're done. To see the new activities, we will run a search in the Activities panel. And here they are. This concludes our introduction video to creating workflows with UiPath Studio. You can go for a more structured learning journey with our RPA Developer Learning Path on the Academy. Thanks for watching and happy automation!